think the workplace wellness program is really important because we spend such a large portion of our lives at work that it's important to be able to come to work and feel good about coming to work and feel that it is in a healthy and positive environment. And the workplace wellness program can definitely contribute to that and make coming to work a better experience overall.
Workplace wellness programs is so very, very important in First Nation communities, and in First Nation communities in Yukon especially. It increases morale, it increases productivity, and it provides a united front.
WOW program in Yukon was based upon the Wellness Fits model. And Wellness Fits is a workplace wellness program. There are three elements to the model: educate, act, and support. A number of changes were made in the way the program was delivered to make it more suitable for Yukon First Nation workplaces. The program was delivered in a more holistic way. So, for example, in one of the workplaces in particular, instead of offering separate modules, so for example, a module about physical fitness or a module about healthy eating or mental wellness, that worksite in particular decided to have activities that incorporated all those different topics in each activity. I think the WOW program was really successful. It was the first program, as far as I know, of its type in Yukon, like a workplace wellness program specifically targeted to First Nation administration offices. And we very much tailored the program to the ideas and interests of the people in each of the communities. So I think that was one of its strengths.
We adapted the workplace wellness program ideas to fit us by really focusing on fun and engaging activities, because people really didn't want to do anything that felt like it was work. They wanted to do stuff that felt like it was a little bit of a break from work, stuff that brought people together to do something, as a group or in small groups. And they didn't want to feel like work or a chore. We didn't want it to feel like people were being lectured about what they should or shouldn't be doing, because mostly people know that already. We just wanted to do stuff that would encourage people to make some healthier choices.
We decided that we would do a workplace wellness activity here, and that activity was a walking challenge, and it was walking to Old Crow from here, right? So that's 800,000 steps. So, and you think it won't be achievable, but it actually is achievable. It was amazing the amount of people and staff that we had sign on to this, and so much so that we have now repeated it.
I think the most successful event here at TKC was the walking challenge, and it was a success for a couple of reasons. For the staff here, I think it was an opportunity to get together during the lunch hour, go do something really positive and uplifting and active, and so people would come back really refreshed, and you could just feel the morale changed over the lunch hour, right? So in that respect, it was really positive. And we extended that program to members of the TKC community, and there were some perks involved in people that signed up. So members in the community that came, they could get a free pair of runners and socks, and we literally had people come in droves, and it was a huge, huge success. And people were talking about it, and it was a great way for staff to meet members of the TKC community.
I think one of the activities that we did that I enjoyed the most personally was we did a salad bar lunch. And what we did is we set up like a salad bar in the hallway here, and had quite a wide variety of healthy ingredients. And we invited all the staff to come at lunchtime and to make their own salad, create their own salad. And people got quite creative with it and came up with all kinds of interesting combinations and had quite a lot of fun doing that. Now, while we were eating our salads, we also sort of had some discussion around food, and because I had found a handout on the internet on it's called 20 Incredible Facts about eating fruits and vegetables that you probably didn't know. So it was really quite interesting. Some of them were quite funny. Like some previously held assumptions that were proven to be totally false. So we had a good time talking about that. It really sort of stimulated the conversation over lunch. So it was a very pleasant event, and we had a great turnout. We had, I think, about 25 people show up for that. We only have a staff of 30 odd who are not always in the office at the same time. So we had, pretty much everybody that was around came for lunch and had a good time.
The other event that I really enjoyed was the smoothie vacation. So we invited all the staff over for like a morning snack, and we made smoothies, and we had a variety of flavors, and we had one really disgusting looking smoothie that was super healthy and green, and so the people that came in last got the green smoothies basically. And so there were some that were dumped down the sink, but it was fun. It was just really fun. And because we're in 2 separate buildings, so sometimes there's a real division between staff, and it was nice to kind of see those faces come in and kind of slowly walk in through the music and, to the loud noise of the blender, and just hang out and laugh and be silly together. And I think sometimes at work that's hard to do.
It created opportunities for staff to get together in a fun and non-pressured way. People that don't normally work together very often. So it broke down some barriers between the different departments and different programs, and helped us all to get to know each other a little bit better, which I think creates a better atmosphere in the office overall.
When you give an opportunity for people just to mingle and get to know one another and have conversations that aren't work related, there's a real shift in the relationships at a workplace. And so I was surprised. I didn't expect that to happen, but I saw it happen. So it was great.
There was a lot of flexibility to the program, and we were able to meet regularly so that we could change and adapt the program and how many times we would have activities in a month and so forth as we went along. I think having that flexibility was really important to the sustainability of the project. And we've heard some positive feedback from some of the communities too about how the program was well received and people like the program. So that's also a good indication that the program was successful. One of the primary challenges was that the champions that I worked with in the communities were working on this project off the side of their desks, and their time was limited. So what we did to overcome this challenge is we developed really quick and easy activities that could be implemented easily.
There's hesitation for people to join. That's the big thing. You think about momentum and you think about needing positive creative energy all the time, but people burn out and they get tired, or their workload gets intense. And so there's triage, and so the WOW committee duties tend to get pushed down a little bit. So it's really important to get new people on board, and maybe part of that is that every 6 months there's a shift where you have to have at least 2 new staff members or something, because there were meetings where we were really excited and positive and brainstorming, and then there were meetings further down the road where you could just feel like everyone came in and just slumped down. It's like, oh, what are we gonna do now? And so you could feel that we had lost that momentum. And then we had a new staff member come in, and she was bubbly and she was excited, and it just kind of lifted everyone up again. So I think bringing in new staff members kind of on that journey is really, really important. And to have someone from WOW to come in and meet with us, because that also is a bit of a prompt to keep moving forward and to bring in new ideas to us to consider. So both of those things are equally important. When I started, I really didn't want to be on that committee, and I felt like it was more work, it was extra work, and I didn't have time for it. And I told my supervisor that I really didn't want to be part of the committee, and she stressed that it was really important. It was really, really important, and that it was meaningful, and that if I wanted to be in a positive workplace, that we all had to do our part and make time for it and consider my role in that committee as part of my job. And when I was doing work for that committee or for events, that it was actually just part of my job. And once I kind of accepted that, it didn't feel like such a burden, you know, it didn't feel like a burden at all. And so it's just maybe shifting gears, putting on a new lens and seeing it as a more valuable piece of the bigger picture.
Sometimes it was difficult to get the word out about events in a timely way. So we found it was really helpful to have one person dedicated to communications. In some cases, it actually was the communications person for the workplace, just so that the notices got out and so that notices would get out in time for events and so forth. Another thing that we did to make the program more suited for First Nation communities is we tried as much as possible to include cultural activities and land-based activities. Some of the activities that we did were an ice fishing event. There was a field trip where people went out and gathered traditional medicines. There was also promotion of a cultural activities week that was already happening in one of the communities. And as much as possible, we looked into different things that we could do that had a cultural basis. Sometimes, though, it was a challenge to find resource people to lead the activities. And it was also a challenge to leave the workplace during office hours, because a lot of these cultural activities were land-based and required a little more time than maybe some of the WOW activities. I think overall, it's a project that has a lot of potential, especially now that we have developed some materials that people can use, and hopefully those materials will be modified and changed, and improved as time goes on. So I think we have a really good starting point for other workplace wellness programs in Yukon, and maybe other places too.
To make the workplace wellness program last in the workplace, you really need buy-in from your senior managers, first of all, so that they support the activities continuing to happen. And you need a team of people who are going to champion the program. It's important to have like more than one person being in charge of this, because it can be a lot of work for one person. If you have 2 or 3 or 4 people that are willing to take turns leading different activities and sharing the work and preparing the activities, then it doesn't seem like too much of a burden for any one person. Plus, people feed off of each other and generate ideas by just sitting and chatting and planning the next activity.
Right now there's a bit of a shift, and there seems to be a real shift towards staff appreciation here. And like we recently had a session where the administration asked for staff to contribute ideas about what they would love to see here to improve morale. And so that's pretty recent, and that's kind of just on the tail end of WOW ending. So it's actually a really good fit in terms of knowing, okay, they've seen some valuable things happen through WOW, and they want to continue that even though WOW is maybe stepping to the side. So I think that's really encouraging. And I think that we have management here that wants to make that a priority, like having TKC be a really positive place to work, a place where people get up in the morning, they want to come here. I think that putting some value on how we feel here on site has been recognized. And so I think there's going to be a lot of effort in terms of continuing to keep morale where it's at and improving it if possible.
When this program first came about, I thought that First Nation staff wouldn't be that interested in this, but it was finally somebody was going to pay attention to them and to their wellness, and it was huge, and people wanted to do this. So it was really good. And what happened is how they got approval, I guess, to do this type of program is they had to go through their leaders, their management, their senior management, so that they could be allowed to go and do this type of program. And it takes the buy-in from leadership and from them to say, yes, I really want to pay attention to my staff, and that really matters. And how a staff could maybe advocate to get this done is to bring other staff together and say, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? And they agree upon it, and then they go sort of again in a united front and say, look, we want to do this. We want to do a walking challenge. We want to do yoga at lunchtime. We want to do, this type of program. And it would just show leadership how much productivity that they can get out of a staff person if they're happier and if the morale's better. So this type of program, it hasn't been in there a lot in First Nation communities, but I think that now that we've started that trend, I'm hoping that trend will continue.
It was valuable time spent, and it did make a change in the workplace, and it was for the better. And it's created momentum here that we didn't have before. And now that the WOW program is pulling out, I see that the initiatives that we started are being carried forward by administration here, and there's a lot of value placed on staff happiness and on the quality of the relationships we have in our workplace. So it's been a really positive process. It's been a bit of a journey, and I don't like to use the word journey, but it's been a really positive journey. And I'm kind of sad that WOW is stepping back, but I'm hopeful that what we started will continue.
It provided that space and time for people to start talking about some of the challenges that they were facing in their workplace, and talk about ways that they could change their workplaces to be more healthy. Everyone that was involved with the program was very devoted and enthusiastic about improving their workplace. And I think it feels good, and people express that it just felt good to be doing something positive for the workplace. Making that concerted effort to make changes really has its benefits.